Have you ever stopped and wondered why your legs don't feel the same anymore? Even when you believe you're doing everything right? You try to eat well. You try to stay active. You follow the advice you've heard for years, and yet standing up feels a little slower. Walking feels a little heavier. Stairs seem just a bit steeper than they used to be. So you ask yourself quietly, is this just part of getting older? Or is something else happening? Something you haven't noticed yet? Here's what most people don't realize. Sometimes it's not about what you're missing. It's about what you're doing every single day, without even questioning it. There's one small mistake many people over 60 make daily, and they make it with confidence, because they've been told their entire life that this choice is healthy, natural, safe, good, and in many cases, it is, but not always, because as the body changes with age, the same foods that once supported you can begin to affect you differently, more subtly, more quietly. And one of the biggest surprises for many people is this. Not every fruit works the same way for an aging body. Some of the most common fruits, the ones people eat every week without thinking, may not always support how your legs feel. They can influence how light or heavy your steps feel, how your joints respond after movement, how steady and comfortable your body feels throughout the day. And the most difficult part? This doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, so slowly that most people never connect the dots. Until one day, you notice your legs feel tired sooner, your knees feel tighter, your steps feel less confident, and you wonder why. In this video, I want to walk you through several fruits that many people over 60 eat regularly and share something important to consider about each one, not to create fear, but to help you make more informed, more mindful choices, because small adjustments, made consistently, can change how your body feels over time. So stay with me until the end. You may start seeing your daily habits a little differently. And before we continue, if you care about staying strong, steady, and independent as you age, consider subscribing, because here we focus on simple things that can quietly make a real difference. Now, let's begin with the first fruit. 1. Pineapple. Not always as gentle as it seems, pineapple is often seen as refreshing, light, even beneficial. It's juicy, naturally sweet, and many people associate it with supporting the body. And yes, it does contain helpful compounds. But here's something worth paying attention to. As we get older, the body becomes more sensitive to certain changes, especially when it comes to how it handles sugar and acidity. Pineapple, despite its fresh taste, contains both natural sugars that are absorbed quickly and acids that can feel stronger in a more sensitive system. Now, this doesn't mean pineapple is bad, but for some people over 60, it may not feel as easy on the body as it once did. You might notice your legs feel heavier after meals. There's a subtle tightness around your knees, or a feeling of fatigue that comes sooner than expected. These are small signals, and they don't always point to one single cause, but they are worth noticing. Another thing to keep in mind, as circulation changes with age, the body doesn't always respond to quick changes in blood sugar the same way it used to. And foods that create sharp rises, even natural ones, can sometimes leave you feeling a bit more drained afterward. There's also the acidity. For some people, it may create a mild sense of irritation. Not something obvious, but something you feel later as stiffness or discomfort in the body. Again, not dramatic, just gradual. And that's exactly why it's often overlooked. Many people continue eating the same foods, the same way, without realizing how their body has changed. So what can you do? You don't have to remove pineapple completely, but you can begin to pay attention. How do you feel after eating it? Do your legs feel light or slightly heavy? Do you feel energized or a bit slower? These small observations matter more than any general rule, because your body always tells you the truth, quietly. And once you start listening, you begin to make better choices without forcing anything. Now, if something as refreshing as pineapple can feel different over time, what about the fruit that's often called perfect for muscles? The one many people eat daily, believing it supports strength and energy. Let's talk about bananas. Bananas, not always. The simple choice. Bananas are one of the most trusted fruits, soft, convenient, naturally sweet. For years, they've been associated with strength, energy, and supporting muscles. And it's easy to see why. They contain potassium. They're easy to digest. They give a quick boost when you feel low. But here's what many people don't think about. How the body responds to them can change with time. As we age, the way we process sugars and carbohydrates becomes slower and less flexible. And bananas, while natural, are still quickly absorbed by the body. This means they can raise blood sugar faster than you might expect. Now again, this isn't something you feel immediately, but over time, these small spikes can influence how your body feels after meals. You might notice a sense of heaviness in your legs, a bit of sluggishness when you start moving, or that your steps feel less light than they used to. There's also another detail many people overlook. Bananas can sometimes contribute to a feeling of fluid retention in the body, and for some people, this may show up as slight swelling around the ankles, a feeling of tightness in the calves, or stiffness that becomes more noticeable later in the day. Nothing extreme, just enough to make movement feel a little less comfortable. And because bananas are often seen as the healthy option, people don't question it. They eat them every day, sometimes more than once, believing they're helping their body stay strong. But here's a simple shift you can make. Instead of assuming, start observing. How do you feel after eating a banana? Do you feel steady and light? Or slightly heavier and slower? Your body will always give you feedback. You just need to notice it. Now, if a fruit known for supporting muscles can feel different over time, what about something much smaller? Something easy to snack on without thinking? Let's look at grapes. 3. Grapes. Small but easy to overdo. Grapes seem harmless. They're small, juicy, easy to eat by the handful. In fact, that's exactly where the problem can begin, because they're so easy to eat. It's also easy to eat too many without realizing it. And while grapes contain beneficial compounds, they also contain natural sugars that can add up quickly, especially when eaten in larger amounts. Now the body processes these sugars through the liver, and as we age, this process can become less efficient, which means that excess sugar may not be handled as smoothly as before. Over time, this can influence how your body feels, particularly in areas like the knees, ankles, and feet. You might notice a feeling of stiffness when you first stand up, a slight discomfort after walking, or that your legs don't feel as flexible as they once did. Again, nothing sudden, just gradual changes. There's also something else to keep in mind. Because grapes are so light and refreshing, People often eat them mindlessly. A few here, a few there, and before you know it, you've had far more than you intended. And that quiet accumulation matters. So instead of avoiding them completely, the key is awareness, portion size, frequency, and how your body responds afterward. Because sometimes it's not the food itself, it's how much, how often, and how your body handles it now. Now, let's move on to a fruit that almost everyone associates with hydration. Something light, cooling, refreshing. But there's a side to it that many people don't expect. Let's talk about watermelon. Watermelon, refreshing but not always. Light on the body. Watermelon feels like the definition of hydration. It's mostly water, it's light, it's refreshing. And because of that, many people assume it can only be helpful, especially during warm days. But here's something important to understand. Despite its watery texture, watermelon can affect blood sugar more quickly than you might think. It has what's called a high glycemic response, which simply means it can raise your blood sugar faster than some other fruits. Now, when this happens occasionally, the body adjusts. But when it happens often, it can influence how you feel afterward, especially in an aging body. You might notice a drop in energy after eating, a sense of heaviness in your legs, or that walking feels just a bit more tiring than usual. There can also be a subtle feeling of swelling, particularly around the ankles. Not extreme, just noticeable enough to affect your comfort. And here's the part many people miss, because watermelon feels so light. It's easy to eat large portions. One slice becomes 2, then 3, and without realizing it, the body is handling much more sugar than expected. So even though it feels like you're doing something refreshing for your body, the internal response may be different. Again, this doesn't mean you need to remove it completely, but it does mean it's worth paying attention. How do you feel after eating it? Do you feel energized or slightly drained? Light or just a bit heavier? These small details matter because they guide your decisions far better than general advice ever can. Now, if even something as refreshing as watermelon can feel different over time, what about fruits that are known for supporting immunity and overall health? Let's move to the next one. Oranges. Bright, but not always gentle oranges are often associated with health. Fresh, citrusy, full of vitamin C. Many people start their day with them. Juice in the morning, slices at breakfast. It feels like a good habit, and in many ways, it can be. But here's something worth considering. As the body ages, it can become more sensitive to acidity. And citrus fruits, including oranges, contain natural acids that may feel stronger in a more delicate system. Now, this doesn't show up immediately. It's subtle. But over time, some people begin to notice small changes. A feeling of stiffness after sitting, a bit of discomfort in the hips or knees, or that their legs feel less relaxed than they used to. There's also the combination of natural sugars and acidity. Together they can create small fluctuations in how your body feels throughout the day. Not dramatic, just enough to make movement feel slightly less comfortable. And because oranges have always been seen as healthy, most people never question them. They continue the same habit for years, without noticing how their body's response has changed. So again, the goal is not to avoid, it's to observe. How does your body feel after you have oranges? Do you feel refreshed and steady, or slightly tense and less comfortable? Your answer is more important than any general rule. Now, let's move to something many people believe is the safer option. 6. Green apples, the healthy choice. That isn't always simple. Green apples have a certain reputation. They're crisp, less sweet, often seen as the smarter choice, especially for those trying to eat clean. But here's what many people don't realize. Even though they taste less sweet, they still contain natural sugars, and they also contain certain acids that give them that sharp, fresh flavor. As we get older, digestion becomes more sensitive, and sometimes these acids can feel stronger than they used to. Now again, this is not about immediate reactions. It's about patterns over time. Some people begin to notice a slight tightness in their legs, a feeling of discomfort after eating, or that their body doesn't feel as relaxed as before. There can also be small fluctuations in energy, especially when these apples are eaten alone, without anything else, and because green apples are often eaten as a quick snack, sometimes even late in the day. The body processes them differently than it would earlier, which can affect how you feel later in the evening, or even the next morning. So what's the key here? Not elimination. Awareness. Try pairing them with something else. Eat them earlier in the day, and most importantly, notice how your body responds, because what feels healthy in theory should also feel good in practice. Now, let's talk about the final fruit on this list. 7. Mango, naturally sweet, but easy to overdo. Mango is one of the most loved fruits, soft, sweet, almost like a natural dessert. And because it feels light and natural, it's easy to eat more than you realize. But here's something important to understand. Mango contains a higher level of natural sugar compared to many other fruits. And while the body can handle this when younger, with age, the response becomes slower, which means those sugar levels rise quickly and then fall. And that cycle, when repeated often, can influence how your body feels, particularly in your energy levels and in your movement. You might notice a sense of heaviness in your legs later in the day, a slight tingling or fatigue after eating, or that your steps feel less stable than before. Again, nothing extreme, just gradual. And because mango feels so light, people rarely connect it to how they feel afterward. But the body always responds quietly, consistently. So if you enjoy mango, there's no need to remove it entirely, but portion size becomes very important. And timing and awareness. Because once you start paying attention, you begin to feel what works for you and what doesn't, what you can choose. Instead, now that we've talked about fruits to be more mindful with, let's shift to something more helpful, because this isn't about restriction. It's about choosing what supports you best now. There are fruits that many people find feel lighter, steadier, and easier on the body. For example, berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They're naturally lower in sugar compared to many other fruits, and they are often easier to portion. Many people notice they feel lighter and more comfortable after eating them. Then there are cherries. In moderate amounts, they can feel soothing for the body, especially when it comes to overall comfort and flexibility. Avocado is another option, technically a fruit, but very different from sweet fruits. It contains healthy fats that provide steady energy without quick spikes, which many people find helps them feel more balanced throughout the day. Papaya is also worth considering. Soft, easy to digest, gentle on the system. And for those looking for something simple, Pears can be a good choice. Mild sweetness, easy on the body, especially when paired with something like a handful of nuts or yogurt. The key idea here is simple. Choose foods that feel supportive, not just in theory, but in your own experience. If you've stayed with me until this point, it tells me something important. You care about how you feel. You care about your strength. And you want to stay steady and independent. And that matters. Because the truth is, you don't need drastic changes. You don't need complicated routines. You just need small, thoughtful adjustments. One choice at a time. One habit at a time. Because your body is always adapting. And when you begin to support it in the right way, you start to feel the difference. Your steps feel lighter. Your movements feel smoother. Your mornings feel a bit easier. And that's the goal. Not perfection, just progress. So I'd like to ask you something simple. What is one small change you're willing to try after watching this? Take a moment and think about it. And if this video gave you even a small new perspective, consider subscribing, because here we focus on simple ideas that can help you feel stronger and more confident in your daily life. And before you go, let me know, was this helpful for you? Your response matters more than you think. Take care of yourself. And remember, your independence is built step by step, quite literally, through your legs.